What?
What did you say in 3? What's happening in 3?
3?
I don't know. We're starting the podcast.
3.
My mother said bad news comes in 3s.
Yeah.
Wow.
Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me.
A lot of good things come in 3s.
3 times on the pipe means the answer is no. 4.
Three's company.
Knock 3 times in the ceiling if you want me. 4
on the pipe
On the
means
pipe
the answer is
means
no.
the answer is
4
no.
on the floor, 5.
4 on the floor
on the
was
floor.
Oh, I hear that music coming, and that means only one thing.
We have to shut up.
You have to shut your yaps so that I can intro the beginning. Ladies and gentlemen, we heartily welcome you into this podcast. It's the Coincidence Men. Can you tell we make our living by our voices and our mouths and our words?
I can't.
We're such wordsmiths, logophiles, as you probably know. Here's an interesting
Sure,
thought.
logophiles.
I wanted to launch into this because this has been bugging me.
Okay.
Because the word logos
Yeah.
is Greek and it means word.
Right.
But
But it's
out in
pictures.
the world, logos are pictures.
Interesting.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I see. When you said logophile, I thought of a lumberjack.
Yep.
That's really all I was thinking.
That's a logarithm.
okay.
Oh no, that's a musical
A logophile
woodman.
is what you use to like whittle down wood, right?
A
That's an axe.
logarithm
Oh.
is when you play the drums on a tree.
Now, an axe is if you have a question,
Wait,
you
hold on.
axe it.
I thought logarithms
gotta leave this.
were like female like cycles. If they happen to be lumberjacks and we're trying to get pregnant, that's
it's
a logarithm.
Across
Yes.
the lake, it's the lumberjacks on this side and the logarithms on
The
the other side.
logarithms, and they're constantly at war, but also trying to get pregnant.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Oh, man.
Oh my God!
It's
This-
a
One
convoluted-
side cuts
original
them
draft of
down, the other
meatballs.
side
Oh
keeps
my
on
God.
growing them.
Nah,
What a lake.
what a lake.
I have to get out of here right now and go to this lake. Anyway,
started?
welcome to the SoCap Comedy Podcast. No, this is not the
what?
SoCap Comedy
No,
Podcast.
No.
Stop
saying
doing all
it.
this
Stop saying it.
cross-promoting. It's the Stupid Good Comedy Podcast.
Stupid good
Ralph.
comedy podcast.
I'm sorry, I was
Good
at
comedy
Gary's.
podcast.
I was at Gary's Dirt Farm.
No one's
before.
going to know what that means.
Well,
I don't think we can do can we do callbacks to previous podcasts?
Sure.
I don't see why we can't.
Well, that assumes that people listen to more than one.
Well, now
There's a reason.
that'll encourage them.
Oh, wait a second. Who the hell are we, guys?
We are the Coincidence Men.
Yes.
I believe
Yes.
that's Gord.
Hi.
And that's Carrie.
That's me.
And that's Marcel.
Toodaloo.
And I'm Ralph.
Whee!
Yep.
Well, that's the sound I make when I fart. Anyway, every podcast has a sponsor.
Sure do.
Even us,
Oh.
such as we are. And our podcast sponsor this week is Vlad's Furniture Emporium. Yes, come on down to Vlad's where we impale you with savings. Now, one night, Vlad's, just after 10 p.m.,
Well, I mean, I don't feel like sleeping yet, so let's go shopping
I
for a
love
love
to
seat.
shop when I'm not sleepy.
I know, and we could use a new
I
love
find
seat.
shopping is the opposite of drowsy, don't you?
It's certainly nothing.
It is the opposite of drowsy.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hello, I'm Vlad. I own this furniture emporium.
Well, it's very nice.
Yes. Oh, look at this love seat that you have your eyes feasted
Well, I
upon.
mean, I was taken by it.
I was too. Do they come in any other color besides blood red?
No, blood red is really good seller.
Why does it have a lid?
Oh, that is to keep out the bad air. You want only good air when you're in love seat.
I never-
Why don't you recline in the
Oh, I'll
love
try it. Oh, it's a little hard, but
Oh, that's right. And just, yes. Oh, and put your neck right there.
Oh, it's a lot more comfortable in here than I expected.
Oh, that's great. We'll be with you shortly. Oh, you little one. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, you've made your way in as well.
I thought we were both. It's a
There's
love
room
seat.
Oh,
there's-
delightful. Well, let me just scooch on in
Yes.
Oh no, let me join you to show you that this love seat operates 3 ways.
oh yes, come on down to Vlad's Furniture Emporium where we impale you with savings.
Yay!
I love how these commercials are getting longer.
They really are.
But
They're
that's
epic.
fine. They're epic. We need to really bestow
mean-
upon this sponsor the value of our
I
sterling
want
copy.
to know what happened to that couple.
We might revisit them
I
at some
think they
future
will become-
podcast.
Yeah, well, that's it. Now we can do callbacks.
Oh my God, we
Yeah.
can do callbacks to commercials that never existed in the first place.
Are they going to be vampires?
Well,
Don't
see,
know.
my theory is they'll get hired to stay on and get new customers.
Oh.
Maybe franchisees.
So it's
Well, when your customers of Vlad's never die.
they just fade away.
They're just perpetually impaled by those savings.
Anyway, every week
It's
when
like
we
a pyramid
do
scheme, though.
a Care Bear scheme,
A pyramid scheme.
Yeah, she said pyramid, but I do like the idea of a Care Bear scheme.
But a Care Bear scheme is all right.
It's a lot friendlier than a pyramid
Yeah.
scheme. It's a lot
sharing
more loving.
means caring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Share with me $10,000 and get 10 other friends to share,
Yeah.
and it'll keep going.
Actually, if we
Anyways.
made that Sharon means Karen, we can rehabilitate the name Karen.
Oh,
Oh,
man. And then, so would we be denigrating the name Sharon?
There's winners and losers.
Yeah.
Because I had a conversation with my 8-year-old, and she called somebody a Karen. And I said,
Wow.
"Oh, you know our neighbor upstairs who we adore is named Karen." And she hadn't made the connection.
Right.
That the Karen in the world, the so-called person that is a Karen,
Yep.
is actually the name of people that some people have. And she felt very conflicted about that.
it's like when you have a friend named Asshole.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't mean he's an asshole. He's just named that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great
Anyway,
parents.
So to all you Karens and assholes out there, we still believe
We
in
see
you.
you.
buck up. But today's topic that I wanted to chat was around improv specifically and the idea of rules. Now, when coming up, learning improv in the 90s, very early 90s, the first professors, teachers, whatever, coaches I had were very into the rules of improvisation, the rules of you must say yes.
Right.
You cannot say no. You cannot ask questions. You cannot block. All these, some of these terms that have
yeah.
gone away. But I just wanted to open up to the floor and see what you all thought about the idea of improv and having rules.
If I may.
Please.
You may.
I mean, ultimately, I don't think there are rules. That's the whole point of improv. You can do whatever you want. I think the rule. See, I hate calling them rules. I use some of those that you just mentioned. For example, the don't ask questions. I do use that for beginner students as guides to say, hey,
Yeah.
it's stronger if you don't ask questions. It's stronger to make a statement and an assumption rather than ask a question. So they're not
Better choices.
But in no way are they hard and fast rules that you must do this or it will never work. Because you can see wonderful improv scenes where people are asking questions and saying no, and in theory breaking these so-called rules. But I think they are good guidelines, especially for beginners. To me, it's like if anybody downhill skis. I don't, but I know this metaphor. The first thing they
What do you
teach
think
you,
the rules
the
of
first thing they teach you,
Talk about what you know.
the first thing, exactly. The first thing they teach you is the snowplow, right? Where you put your skis together to slow down going down a hill. If you see experienced skiers, they never use that at all.
Oddly enough, in snowplow school, the first thing they teach you is how to ski.
Right. But my point is, you give beginners rules to help them, or you teach beginners things that experienced improvisers never do because you need those guidelines in order to start to have success. Otherwise, beginners will just ask questions and say no to things, and then it struggles to go anywhere. I don't know. That's my kind of theory.
I hear that. But
I certainly would have called them rules for like a really long time when I was teaching because people want to know what are the rules. So you kind of have to teach them about that ecosystem that don't even think of them as rules. They are just guidelines. There are harder choices and better choices, easier choices for you to make that will help your scene go along further. So I always love, actually, in the first session I will teach somebody is, we'll just call it rules. And I know in my head, in the next session, I'm going to actually take those training wheels off and go, they're just guidelines now, and their minds are blown because, oh, okay, so it's not now just, it is saying yes, but it's not saying yes to being, pimped to do something dumb or stupid. You have some agency in the scene to not have to do what other people are telling you to do.
I like the metaphor you just used better than my snowplow one. You just called it training wheels. I think that's a great metaphor too.
Yeah.
yeah, I used to use the one of like I'm bumpers, like at a bowling. I'm the bumpers in the gutter, so the ball was always going to stay on the track. It can't go off.
Yep.
And then
Metaphor.
I'm fighting the temptation to give you a bad one-line Werner Herzog impression. saying,
Why would you fight that?
Yeah.
There are always rules to improv, period. They are meant to shackle one's soul to a cement block of hopelessness.
However, I don't want to see that's.
Don't do that. Whatever.
Oh my God,
But
we
it
can't
was
have
just
that.
I don't know. I'm just I just love the Werner Herzog voice and the attitude because it's so
That's
bleak.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
The one rule I tell my students is never do a Werner Herzog voice.
Yeah. No, I'm totally
It's an 8-week class you teach.
totally in agreement with the no rules. I mean, it's guidelines, especially for beginners. Like, because why would you have hard and fast rules to a creative endeavor? Like, that's just that just shuts out so many windows.
I
and
had this
lights.
happen in a class last night, if I may.
Please.
So it was it's a beginner class, so I was just doing some silent scenes and to get them interacting physically and whatnot. And they were at a daycare, and a guy was holding a baby, like trying to get it to sleep. And then another character burst in as a clown or entertainer doing big wacky physical bits and blowing balloons, and the guy holding the baby was like shushing, like that he was waking the baby, trying to keep the baby asleep with this loud clown. And it kind of made sense. It was funny. And afterwards he said, I felt bad. I was kind of blocking because I wasn't embracing and saying yes to the clown by shushing the baby. And I was kind of like, no, you were yes-anding the situation and
That's it.
and accepting the world and the that there was a loud clown with sleeping babies, and that's how you would react. So he was worried about the rules, and he didn't need to be.
Jumping on that, I wait when I'm teaching for the moment when an improviser will either come up to me in private sometimes, or they might say it in front of the class if the class is really comfortable with themselves about going, well, I thought that choice was a block. And I would go, like, it's literally only a block if you don't accept it.
If you deny something.
Like, don't deny that it's a block. Okay, sure, they said no to you, but in real life, you say no to stuff all the time. You will say no to a loud clown waking up your baby. You will say no to jumping off of a cliff to die. You know, like,
Well,
it depends who's chasing you.
Yeah, fair enough.
the way I sort of try to explain it to my students, because the idea of yes and is misunderstood in my thought about the whole thing, and that is in a scene there's you and there's the character you're playing.
Right.
So if it's a scene with Marcel and I, there's a Marcel and myself, and then there's the characters that we're playing. Now Marcel and I always want to be in agreement. We always want to know let's play this thing.
Yeah.
Whereas our characters can yell and disagree and have all kinds of fights, but they're disagreeing precisely because that's the rules of the game that Marcel and I are creating.
Yeah.
We're creating where you have a baby that's quiet, and I've got a clown who's like trying to wake him up and being a dick. So they were always saying yes. So to go back to the idea of a rule, I go back and forth on, is there a single rule? And to me, the one rule that I have is that we have to agree as the actors and performers. If you and I are not on the same page, we can have something that's funny, but it's always going to be funny in spite of us. We're going to be laughed at, not laughed with. And that's the one rule I come back to. Because I keep looking for an example of a scene where the improvisers are not in agreement and that it's funny. And I've never seen one that I can remember. I've seen us laugh in spite of it. Like,
Well, sometimes because if the audience is particularly improv savvy, they are maybe seeing it from outside the scene, and so can tell, even the improvisers are not in agreement now, and it's funny.
But I think audiences can tell too. I think there's something about
if the improvisers are uncomfortable with it, like, because sometimes I know I will have been in Discord, say, with you, what is this scene about sometimes, and we'll plug away, and it doesn't stop being funny because you and I actually are is it nonplussed? Are we plussed?
Well, that word now
I know that word
has become the exact meaning opposite of what it means.
Yeah. We don't get thrown by the fact that we've realized, you and I are not in agreement, the improvisers, but we'll hash it out till we get there. And that journey typically is fun.
Yeah.
So then it is fun for the audience. But there's nothing worse than watching two improvisers who realize, we're not in agreement. I'm going to continue to fight for my way. I'm going to continue to fight for my way. And then they never come to agreement. And worse, you see them having a bad time at it. Then it's cringe. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were
nodding in agreement,
leaping in to say something. Yes.
No.
So I that's the one I struggle with. If I had to say there is a rule, like something that you have to do every single time and it can't be broken, I would say that. Now your point is very well taken, because there's always at the beginning when we're trying to find our agreement, there's that moment in time, and the sooner you can get there, the better.
Yeah.
But in general, to have a successful scene, you got to find some agreement.
And this is one out to anybody who might want to do it. Is there any time that you have been rewarded by an audience greatly in breaking a rule?
Oh, sure.
And you broke it not by accident. You were like, I am breaking this rule because
I don't know what you mean.
either it serves the scene or
Like blatantly blocking an idea
maybe
or
blatantly
something.
blocking
yes.
a bad offer or just
Yeah.
Yeah.
what are examples?
Well, that's why
of
I don't
that?
like to use like blocking as don't ever block, because there's lots of really fun opportunities in blocks, like the way, we don't even use that word anymore, blocking. Like now it's denial of reality, really. Like it's
Right.
But like if character A says something, and this is the example I use in class, is like character A says, "Oh, Marcel, I was at this party last night. It was crazy. Your mother was there." And then you say, "My mother's been dead for 5 years."
Right.
Now that, we used to call those blocks. That's a denial of reality.
Right.
Line B makes line A seem impossible.
Right.
Can't possibly be true. But then I say, I know.
It sounds
It was a
ex-
crazy party.
It sounds exactly like two lines we would say.
Yeah, and then that third line makes both for the first two lines fine, and so that's
Yeah.
hilarious. And our view of the world is deepened. Oh, this is a place where zombies live, or people come back from the dead for parties. That's great.
Again, see, if I saw beginners do that scene, though, I would be like, I mean, yes, I see your point. You
Yeah.
can fight through those disagreements,
Yes.
and get to something. But to me, it is again not a hard and fast rule, but agree that it takes skill to justify that or to make sense of that.
Sure.
And you're making it harder on yourself.
Yes.
In my mind, for no real reason,
yes.
because you're disagreeing off the top and you're denying what somebody said. You know, it's the same as if somebody comes into a scene and says, "Hey, Mom, I'm home from school," and the other character says, "I'm not your mom, and this is a butcher shop." Like, can we justify it? But why the hell don't we just start by agreeing?
Right. I agree with you 100%. And what I would say is like, okay, let's try not to do that, because you're putting that person in a really difficult
you're
position.
making- exactly,
and they're
yeah.
probably going to lose trust with you.
Right.
It's like there's another thing that certain students do, and this is, I always find it interesting. They'll come in and endow another character as doing something and immediately call them out on it. Like, hey,
Yeah.
why are you eating your pants?
Right.
And that puts them in a position of being
defensive
a defensive
yes.
position, and their instinct is, I'm not eating my pants. Right. And that's what. So yeah, there's a gentler ways to get people into stuff.
And that's why, like, that's another, I guess, not rule, but guideline I try to push beginners on is try not to start with negative. Like,
Yes.
trying to not to make your first offer being, "You're doing that wrong. Don't do that. Stop that."
100%.
Because
and,
it's
and everything that you guys have said
it's
about
so
like
hard to
people
go.
want to know the rules and the guidelines and how do I do this. 100%.
Yeah.
And so guidelines, best practices, like, defaults. I call them defaults.
Yeah.
We want to make our defaults be positive.
Yeah.
Say yes. Get along. Have our conflict not between us necessarily, but us versus the world, or like all these things that are good rules of thumb, if I can use that expression. Best practices, I like to say, or defaults, right, to get us away from the things that fear make us do, like say no and fight and all that stuff.
Yeah, we're ingrained with using that word rules. It's hard, like you just rule of thumb came out. I don't want to say it that way.
I know, right? Because of its
A guideline of thumb.
It's a
guideline
back.
of thumb.
It's thing.
A best practice of thumb.
Well, we've certainly solved every part
Oh
of
my
the world's
God,
problem
yes.
today.
Yeah. Rules? Sure.
No, but it's an
But don't call
interesting.
them that.
It's interesting discussion always, because we all have again, improv is so great because it's not, there's no like one way of doing it. Everybody's got a different way, a different approach, and it's great for students because, well, it's good and maddening because they can come in and like take what they like from various people and make their own thing. But that can also be limiting because, like, why can't you people all be on the same page? Well, because it's improv, and that's part of the nature of its beauty and its complexity and its messiness, so.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway.
God bless this mess.
Yes. Anyway, that's. But I don't know if I heard the ending music coming, but I'm sure it's nigh. Because
I don't know. I didn't know I even existed.
oh my gosh, we forgot to say hi
It's
to
all
Brent.
good though.
Brent.
Oh, Brent.
No, Brent,
no,
this is
but
good.
us out, Brent.
This is
This
a
is-
good thing.
Brent,
I'm just sulking.
you
This-
definitely do exist,
The
Brent.
sign of a good producer is that you don't know they're there.
Yeah,
invisible.
So,
Then I fucking rock.
That's what we thought. We thought you were like the
damn it.
best.
Until now.
Oh well. Anyway, I don't hear any music. Wait, where's it coming?
Oh, there it is.
There it is. It was worth waiting for.
Oh, finally, the producer is producing. Well, anyway, that's been another quite good example of the.
I wonder what
Coincidence Men
this button
podcast.
does. Oh, that muted him.
The Stupid Good Comedy Podcast.
Oh, yeah. Make sure you check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Coincidence Men.
And coincidencemen.com.
Yeah.
And all of this, by the way, is brought to you by the lovely folks at
Quell.